Combat snapshots have been in development for many years now, which is great. However, the way people seem to talk about them is often very negative. To be fair, even I didn't really like the idea of a new combat system the first time I tried it, because it felt unnecessary to relearn everything, and there's already a fine combat system there. But lately I've been dedicating some more time on the snapshots to see how good or bad they actually are. So here's a very basic review on the most important combat aspects in combat test snapshots. Melee combat in CTS is honestly pretty great. If you didn't know yet, then hitting someone really quickly doesn't reduce attack damage anymore. Instead, waiting a moment before hitting someone increases attack reach. This makes melee fights more fast-paced than in 1.9, but also doesn't keep the combat as simple as in 1.8. Tridents have also been given use in PvP now, and currently have half a block more reach than swords. A lot of people seem to think that more reach instantly makes tridents OP, however tridents have slower attack speed than swords, and in my opinion are pretty balanced. Especially considering how difficult it actually is to get tridents compared to other weapons. Okay, maybe impaling is a bit too OP. Alright, so shields in combat snapshots, they are pretty fun, but not very balanced as of right now. First off, shields currently block certain damage values, more specifically 5, which means that shields become less useful as weapons get stronger. Now that kinda makes sense, but it also sort of ruins the balance between weapons in early game PvP, especially with unenchanted axes only disabling shields for 1.6 seconds. There's also this feature which lets people shield by just crouching, and when doing that, players can easily block it without letting go of the crouch key. This is currently too overpowered for how easy it is to pull off, and it's also a pretty annoying feature outside PvP. Snapshot combat is definitely better for PvP related minigames than 1.9. It's generally more fast paced, and weapon cooldown doesn't reset for stuff like switching your weapon or using flint and steel. However, I don't think CTS is as good for minigames as 1.8 yet, mainly because 1.8 is still a bit more fast paced, and surprise attacks in CTS are currently a bit too OP. But considering that in 1.8 your KB depends on your click speed, I would say that the versions are almost as equal for minigames. So in combat snapshots, there's this thing called eating interruption, which prevents players from eating every time they get hit. Now most people in the CTS community don't seem to like that feature too much, but in my opinion it's one of the best features in combat snapshots. From the good side, it's now way more difficult to eat in a fight, making early game PvP shorter and less annoying. From the bad side however, it can sometimes force players to run away or block themselves in, which kinda goes against my last point. I guess we will just see what will happen to that feature in the future. Saturation has also been nerfed, and higher saturation doesn't make healing faster anymore. This is also something I really like, because even if someone manages to run away to eat, it doesn't help them as much, rewarding aggressive playstyle more. One last important food change is that food can now regenerate health until the food bar goes down to 3 food points. This change was probably meant to punish players that just run away when they get low, but the extra health can often make up for the lost food bars. I'd say it's rather an annoyance in fights, especially in 2v1s, when you can suddenly realize you're out of sprint and are not able to properly fight back. So in 1.9, one of the biggest issues with late game PvP is that fights without crystals take pretty much forever. Now in combat snapshots, this issue has gladly been fixed by making them 10 times longer. Firstly, stackable potions just give people more room for stuff like totems, healing, XP bottles, and all sorts of other consumables. Also, when Turtle Master and regeneration were pretty useless before, due to how limited inventory space was for them, then fortunately this issue has also now been fixed. Potions also take less time to drink, and healing 2 now heal 6 hearts instead of 4. This means that healing 2 potions are now meta in late game, and there wouldn't be anything wrong with that if it didn't make healing even faster and easier than before. All these potion changes just make late game fights even longer than they already are in 1.9, and without crystal PvP the issue would be way worse. Alright, so crystal PvP is actually better in 1.9 than in combat snapshot. So this is the kit I normally use in Crystal. As you can see, there are 10 totems in this kit, which actually isn't that much, but it's also more difficult to pop someone's totem considering how quickly people can heal, and how Turtle Master pretty much gives people invincibility for eating, using XP bottles, and even opening key chests and shulkers. There are also some good sides to combat snapshot crystal though. For example, heat crystalling is now a bit easier, since you can hit people multiple times in the air before placing the crystal. There's also crystal cooldown in the game, which does make crystal PvP a bit less fast paced for people below ping, but it also reduces ping dependence in crystal. A way better solution will still be making crystals more client sided though. So even though combat snapshots still have a decent amount of issues to be fixed, I feel like they are completely underrated by the PvP community, and calling almost every snapshot feature bad is a bit of an overreaction. The thing is, most people that complain about these combat changes have barely even played the version, or often not at all, but getting to know a whole new combat system obviously takes a bit more time. It seems like people just don't like to accept change very easily. 1.9 is also a pretty good example of that. Like 2 or 3 years ago, 1.9 was not very accepted in the general PvP community, and the version was mostly dead. But when 1.9 content started getting popular, like MCC or speedrunning or manhunt, the 1.9 community exploded. So many players moved from 1.8 to 1.9 and actually started to like the new combat, including myself. Snapshot combat is not perfect by any means, but by time it has improved, and it will keep being improved. That's the whole point of combat snapshots after all. I also think that getting a better combat system is definitely worth the time spent on learning it. I mean, let's be honest, Minecraft PvP kinda sucks in both previous versions. Also, a big portion of the skills you need, such as aiming, strafing, W-tap, are still going to stay whatever version you're playing on. So, just in case I've happened to convince you into believing that combat snapshots aren't that bad after all, maybe even give it a small try. I mean, the community is pretty great. Come on, just click that link, please.